curious about the spark behind your favorite content creator, the journey, the challenges, and the stories that led them to the spotlight? Dive in with Giorgio Takanakis, known as Giorgio Says, and the mystical Nathalie Rogers from Femme Tarot. Every week, one guest, countless stories. Let's get the conversation started.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Creating the Creator. And today we have yet another special guest that we absolutely love. Caitlin Marshall from Besties by Bravo is joining us. And Caitlin has such a background, you guys. It's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. She's been in pageant shows. She's an actor. She's done stand-up comedy. She's done everything. She even has a barber's license. Believe it or not, she has a barber's license. So we dive deep into her past, what led her into this world of content creation. You guys, you're absolutely going to love this. The icebreaker question round was quite funny and quite insightful too. So hope you enjoy, you guys.
Let's get right into it. We need to jump in. Hi, Caitlin.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to join both of y'all.
We're so excited. Yes, you are actually our second guest, so you are warming us up nicely. But we always like to start off with icebreaker questions to kind of warm up our guests and just kind of get them, comfortable, not scared, comfortable. So let's get right to it. So icebreaker question number one is, if your life had a theme song, what would it be and why?
Tell me why I always automatically am like, I got to go with the Britney Spears song. Let's see. If my life had a theme song, oh my gosh. Y'all, I haven't done icebreaker questions like this since I did beauty pageants back in the day. Okay, this is going to be almost like sentimental, but that song, Fight Song, I forget what's her name. She opened for Taylor Swift, I think. This Is My Fight Song. I feel like that tends to be
This Is My Fight Song.
That's it, honey.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh my God, yes.
I feel that at various times in my life. And then other times because truly it was like when that song came out, I was living in Los Angeles away from my family. And I was like, I remember I was, please don't go look it up because I did not do a very good job, but I was doing audiobook narration, just desperate to make some money while I was trying to get acting jobs. And I remember just bawling my eyes out at like 11 p.m. driving from the studio in Santa Monica all the way to North Hollywood, being like, I do miss my friends at my home.
Oh.
I know it's so sad, but we're good now. Now I'm very close to them. I could just reach my arm out. I'm like, I could use a little distance. Just kidding, Mom, Dad.
No, that's great. Actually, I forgot about that song.
Yeah.
Same.
If you had to create a new national holiday, what would it be called and how would people celebrate it?
I love this question.
There are a lot I would like to do. If I will be surprised if this is not already a national holiday. Actually, let's just call it a sit in bed and don't touch your phone and marathon housewives day. Everyone leave me alone. Let me drink wine, mimosas, and eat snacks. And that's the new holiday. So the holiday would have to be called Housewives in Bed Marathon Day. That didn't have a ring to it, but we'll come up with something better.
We need to establish that.
That's important.
It's a mental health day at the end of the day. So we'll incorporate both. It's mental health. It's also getting to veg out, and you can't use your phone. That's like you just have to sit and
you're focused, and you have to just pick you have to pick a franchise city, and you have to just go in and just binge.
Yep.
Let me take it up a notch and then just binge or use or eat or drink just Housewives products.
I love that.
Yes.
A whole day. I love that. We have to establish that. We have to. We need to hashtag this.
And it needs to be a
Yes.
paid holiday so the people that work can take off and not have to use a
Agreed.
vacation day. I'm just saying.
Federal holiday. Uh-huh. Needs to
Exactly.
be
It's
federal.
important. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's important.
Mhm.
Gosh, that's a really good one. Very important. Okay, what's the weirdest talent or skill you have that not many people know about?
Oh, that not many people know about. I'm okay. I'm not a terrible singer. There are moments where I'm like, I'll sing for anyone. And then there are moments where I'm like, I'm turning red even thinking about starting to sing for the two of you right now. So I can't, it's a talent that comes and goes for me. Um, but one that maybe not everyone knows about is that I am actually pretty good at doing royal icing decorating on cookies. Like it was a hobby I picked up right before the pandemic. So I did it before we were all baking and whatever. I even made for my son's first birthday party. It was a Biggie Smalls theme because it was like another one. And I literally was able to draw his face on cookies and like made gold chains on onesies. And I mean, yeah, it's like a whole thing. My hidden talent is also like shortbread cookies. I'm good at making shortbread cookies, like various flavor pairings and stuff. So
You've got a lot of talents, Caitlin. Are you a Gemini? Are you a Gemini? I have to ask.
I am not. I'm a Scorpio. And this is what's so funny. I've had someone read my chart and she was like, I was wondering where all this air energy was coming from because I am
Exactly.
You
Scorpio,
do.
rising is Sag, and then my moon is Scorpio. So,
Scorpio moon over here.
see,
Welcome
good
to the club.
company.
But it
Good
is
company.
crazy. You give off a lot of air energy. Like
You
I would
do.
assume you're a Gemini, even an Aquarius, something like that. You exude a lot of the similar qualities. It's crazy.
I think it might be the
Right?
Sag rising. I don't know. I don't know.
Depends. Maybe you have a strong Mars placement. It could be a strong Mars placement
Yeah.
in an air sign that brings on
Mhm.
this sort of energy, Gemini energy, because Gemini is very multifaceted, multi-talented, and you are as well. And we'll get into that a little bit later.
Yes. Wait, Mars is the one for communication, correct?
Exactly.
Okay, so mine is Aries.
Well, that tracks. That tracks.
That's
Funny.
That
exactly
completely
why.
tracks. Oh, wow. So when you get annoyed, when you get angry, boy, oh boy.
When it takes me a minute
No
to
filter.
get there. Yeah,
Mhm.
once I listen, and it's more so for other people than it is for myself. I don't know how to explain it. Like my
Yeah.
problem is I think I am the defender of everyone else. I don't need to be. That's my problem. So I need to just like let people fight their own battles a lot of times.
Hard, very hard. That Scorpio
is.
moon, because you're like, I want to take people under my wing because I know what
Yes.
trauma looks like and feels like. So I want to protect people. That Scorpio
Absolutely.
moon.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I want to protect everybody. That is one of my biggest. Yeah.
Even the ones that don't want to be protected.
That's
Right.
it right there. And I've been told that I can fight my own battles. Like, okay, but fine. I guess I won't help.
I mean, quite frankly, that would be a whole other podcast, that whole conversation. But
Absolutely.
Yeah.
if your life were a reality TV show, what would the title be? And what would the tagline be?
Okay. The title would be Mommy Likes to Talk a Lot. Or Mama Likes to Talk a Lot. Something along those lines. The tagline, well, let's see. And she cusses sometimes. Then the reality show would definitely be based around me trying to run around with a 2-year-old who, if you want to talk about wildness, now he's a Cancer, his rising is Sag, and then his moon is Virgo. So he's a little
Yeah, see, he's got a
wild
Sag
one.
rising as well. So he took it from, oh Lord, good luck with that.
And a Virgo moon.
Virgo moon.
Oh boy.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, he's gonna run you around.
Cancer sun.
Oh, can you
Oh,
imagine?
the mood swings.
Yeah,
Oh
it's
my
gonna
God.
be moody tooty.
when I tell you the drama, like it is so clear that he came from two actors. And that's the thing too, is it's like one of those things, where people question nature versus nurture. Oh no, it's nature. So much of it is nature because he has never seen me throw my hands on my face and drop to my knees sobbing over anything. And that is the drama of it. So, it's balancing. It would be the balancing of that. And the housewives things and the social media aspect. It's a juggling act. Y'all know how that is. Y'all are, I mean, this is what we're here talking about is the just the whole creator aspect is always if you're not able to be on 24/7, it's kind of, you got to find your ways. That's the only way I can put that.
100%. I'm a mom of two, so I
get it,
know all
girl.
too well how it is to try to get everything, we're under pressure constantly.
And then the mom guilt. There's the mom guilt of,
oh no, I'm over that now because they're a bit older, so I'm over the mom guilt.
Good for you. And I mean that genuinely, like, good for you. It's gonna take me a minute to get there.
I mean,
wow.
give it a few more years, you'll be
like
exactly. Mine are 12 and 9, so they're more independent. So the mom guilt kind of like goes to the back, like you don't think of it so much because they're more independent now. They want to do their own thing. They can entertain themselves. So, I'm like, mommy has to work. You've got a couple of hours where mommy has to do content creation or work and help with clients. Figure it out, you kids. You'll figure it out. I mean, it's a 2-year-old is a handful, especially a Cancer one with a Sag rising.
oh my God.
Truly, but I will, to give you credit, I did hear, I think it was yesterday, that 8 years old is actually the hardest age to parent. And you just came on the other side of that if you have a 9-year-old and 12-year-old just a few years before that. So.
Oh God, the 12-year-old, that's a different story though. Oh, there's hormones, sort of on this path of turning into a young woman. We've got a whole other story there. I mean, you know what? Looking back, I'll take the 2-year-old and the tantrums to the 12-year-old and all the issues that comes with a hormonal 12-year-old. I can tell you that.
That's what I hear. Wow. I'm like, Giorgio's like, no.
I find it fascinating that you guys can even do, I'm just in my mind, I'm like, how could I squeeze in 2 children or one? I mean, there's 2 dogs and I want to pull my hair out some days because it's like, I'm on the schedule,
Yeah.
So
it's similar. They need routine.
Yeah, well, I think dogs are a little less high maintenance and they don't go through puberty.
Oh my God.
Yeah, very true. And they don't snack all day like my 9-year-old.
Oh my God, the snacking. Oh my God, all the time. I will have just made, I'm sorry, I know this is not a mom pocket, but my God, I will have just made him a like healthy, delicious meal of something he loves. You know what I'm talking about. And this is nothing new, but my God, he will take 2 bites and then knack. No, you can't have a snack right now. Bar. He wants a little protein, not protein bar. That's what mom eats. Like one of those little, I don't know, like Sesame Street sweet potato bars.
Yeah.
Like, just have a grilled cheese and other things in front. Anyway, yes, we're on a lot of new kicks right now. Which is me learning not to cuss as often.
Hang in there. It gets better before it gets worse again, I can tell you. So,
hey, listen, I like the honesty. I appreciate it.
I'm an Aquarius.
I think it's refreshing. I think it's refreshing for people to hear the transparency behind it. Sometimes I feel like it's overly fluffed.
Yes, and the thing that I think for me personally is you only have little kids for 4 years and you have to cherish every single moment. And I'm like, it is so, I don't know how we feel about cussing on this podcast, so I'm gonna, it is so effing hard to cherish the moment when my eardrums are literally closing up because he is screaming bloody murder at me because I said, hey, you can't write with your sidewalk chalk on Nana's nice white chair. You can't do that. And when that is not a moment that I cherish. Okay. Just clear. The other stuff, yes, I do. The cherishing moments are like, oh, when he comes over and just gives me a hug out of nowhere. And that's the beauty of toddlers. It's a sweet little hug. And I'm like, oh, thank you, baby. And then he'll like pinch my nipple immediately after that. And I'm like, cool, back at it. Gotcha. It's just, I mean, that's not toddlers, man.
I
So-
could
Oh,
not
they're
even begin
fun.
to imagine. I would not be able to. I don't think I could do it. Okay, well, this ties into the next question. Well, what's the oddest thing you've ever Googled late at night when you couldn't sleep?
Oh my God. That is, um, mm, oh gosh. A lot of them were when I was pregnant. I keep tying back to this. I'm sorry. That was just like some of the weirdest stuff that you would Google. Like it was constantly,
Mhm.
can pregnant women have, and the drop down of things. The thing to Google late at night. Oh my gosh. It's always when I go on like a spiral of, am I doing anything right with either the social media stuff, or did I start my podcast off wrong, or else I'm IMDBing someone? Gosh, I would have to pull my phone out for that. The Googling, I use it far too often. I think it would be mortifying if someone saw my Google search history. They'd be like, wow, she really is not that bright, is she? Because there are some things that I'm like, how did I not know the answer to this?
I think that applies for all of us, though. That
Yeah.
applies for all of us.
What did we do before it?
We took a wild
I don't
guess, or
know.
we asked someone we thought was smart. Hope to
Exactly. Or
Honestly.
we were dumber.
Like,
I mean, honestly, there was nothing outside of, I mean, gosh, I don't even know. I mean, and I will say this. Oh God, now I'm dating myself. But in my heyday being in school, kiddos, there was no Google. So you had to pull out that dusty encyclopedia and dig through that sucker to find answers to things. So, you know,
you better
half the
hope you're not
time-
missing a volume, you know,
Or
like you better
yeah.
hope you aren't missing J through L.
Or you're just at the library for 6 hours after school trying to like figure out how to do your homework on their like 1987 computer.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's true. Actually, you
It's
know what? Now I just
amazing.
remembered the last thing that was weird. It was something Giorgio got me going down a hole on. It was something to do with the Kardashians. And
There's a lot of holes to go down in that family. So
Reddit, especially. It's
Ugh.
more like me. Reddit is where I will go down so many rabbit holes, and it more than
Same.
Google. It's like fascinating.
Reddit is better than Google. Reddit is
is.
so much better than Google. And also the commentary, the threads on Reddit, gold. Absolute gold.
Yeah.
Entertainment.
Am I the Asshole is like one of the best subreddits ever. And then they have updates on them too. They have the best of Reddit updates. Y'all, I read them like novels. Okay. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then what happened? And then what happened? Oh my God. I love it. Sorry. It's like
We should do dramatic readings of Reddit here on the podcast at some point. I think that would be funny.
oh my God, that would be
would love to.
hilarious.
Oh, I would
Mental
love it.
note.
Make that mental note.
Okay. Well, Caitlin, if you could have a 30-minute conversation with your future self, what's the first question you would ask?
Okay. The first question is probably what, oh gosh, how do I want to word it? I would probably say, I would ask myself, what's the one thing you would stop doing right now? As in, whether it be for your health, whether it be for mental health, whether it be business wise, just what is the number one thing that comes to your mind that you want me to stop doing right now?
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a good one. That's good advice.
Yeah. Is it stop putting on this brand of sunscreen? Is it don't enjoy wine anymore? Is it stop worrying about dieting? Is it go easier on your knees on the treadmill? Is it stop worrying about posting on this form of social media? Stop worrying about the name of your podcast. Just do this, like, you know, that type of thing.
Okay, and last question for you is, if you could have any animal as a sidekick, which one would you choose and what would its superhero name be?
Oh my God. Any animal to have as my sidekick. Okay. Now, the traveling would be kind of an issue, but I really want to go with an elephant because they are such
I know I love elephants.
They're
They're my
magnificent
spirit
creatures.
animal.
They are
Yeah.
so like, especially like the baby elephants, they look like a person
Oh,
in like a little suit. And like I went to this animal
true.
sanctuary one time and we interacted with the elephants, and the way their trunks are like little, they're like mitts. It's like a hand in a mitt, the way they're so intelligent. And listen, I feel like the elephant we could paint together. The elephant's name would be, oh, gosh, I feel like, okay, the elephant's name would be Happy, which is the name after my son has a little unicorn stuffy that one time I got it for him at the unicorn festival. Yes, this turned into a whole story. And I said, "Are you happy now?" And it was the first time he ever said that word, and he just went happy. And so now we call his unicorn Happy. So then the elephant would just
Oh.
make everyone happy anyway.
Oh.
And the superpower this elephant would have, oh my gosh. I, I mean, it's an elephant already. What superpower does an elephant need? They're
Oh no,
endangered.
you don't need to give us a superpower. It's just what was
Oh,
the superhero name?
superhero name, Happy. He's happy.
I mean,
Happy
that's
the elephant.
enough said.
Yeah.
Happy trunk.
Yeah.
That can go both ways.
That could go really not. Yeah, that sounds like somebody's like OnlyFans name.
Or the name of a
Mhm.
content company.
Well,
Right?
Kaylin, that was very interesting. These questions always seem to pull very interesting answers depending on who the person is. So thank you for that. But that concludes our icebreaker questions. So now we can get into the meat and potatoes of the interview.
Okay.
And I want to go back a little bit too, because you mentioned that you worried or you worry about your podcast name. And I just want to ask you, why? Where did the name of your podcast come from? Why would you worry about that? Because it's going great. I mean, it's gaining, momentum now. I know there are a lot of podcasts out there based on Bravo content, but there's room for everyone on the table at the end of the day. But please share with us a little bit about that.
100%. So the name actually came into my head when I went to another podcast live show. And I mean, when I'm telling you, I was leaning over backwards, it rose behind me, talking to anyone and everyone, because I had never been in a room full of other people who love Bravo shows. And I don't think I shut up once that night. I was like, and so tell me, which Bravo celebrity do you love, hate, and which one do you love to hate? Because there's a huge difference between hate and love to hate. You know what I mean? And I'm just like down the row talking to everyone. And I was like, I felt like I had gained a room full of best friends, and it was by way of Bravo. And so with that, I also remember way back when Bravo had those promotions where it'd be like table flip by Bravo, summer by Bravo. And so I thought, oh, Besties by Bravo. And I had just kind of saved the name in case I ever decided with the account I had already been growing, that was basically a meme account that I had never really shown my face on, very few and far between videos of myself. And then I just decided, hey, I'm either going to get rid of this account or I'm going to, that I've worked hard on for years. And I thought, well, maybe I'll just do a podcast with it, because I want it to serve a greater purpose than just me posting stuff on the internet for no reason. I have always loved Bravo, and anytime I met anyone in person, it would be that felt the same way about it. We would just never stop talking. My reasoning for wanting to change the name is mostly because I want it to be more tied to me, because I don't want any actions that anyone else makes or, takes or doesn't take to be dependent on the business I'm trying to build, if that makes any sense. Because using the name of another entity with it, I'm kind of at the mercy of them not being assholes. So if anything were to happen, I want it to be on me, and because I can only be accountable for myself at the end of the day. So that's kind of where that comes from. And I feel like I'm starting to slightly outgrow just it being about Bravo, because I would like to be able to talk about more things. I just have so much to say.
But let's rewind back, right?
Mm.
Before Bravo, before the reality TV world, let's start
Yeah.
from the beginning, okay?
Okay.
Because you've got quite a diverse background, right? And
Mhm.
as we said, as we mentioned before, you have that Gemini, resourceful, multi-talented energy about you. So you started off in acting, and from reading your bio and from what I know about you, you actually went on off-Broadway for children. Is that how you started
Yeah.
off? And then
Yes, this
moved.
was in Oklahoma.
Mhm.
Yeah. I was very determined that I was going to be an actor. I started saying that when I was like maybe 6 or 7. And so my mom was like, all right, well, I guess we'll try and get her in something. And there was a theater company for children in Oklahoma called Off Broadway. And because it was also located off of Broadway. And I never got any big parts. But I'll tell you what, I sang my little heart out trying to get that part of Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. And so then eventually I just kind of moved on. High school happened. And in high school, I saw that if you were to win the Miss USA or Miss Teen USA beauty pageants, you got a full ride scholarship to the New York Film Academy. And so I said, I want to do pageants. I want to try it out. So I did. And I met wonderful people doing that. I competed in the Miss Oklahoma Teen USA pageant, and I had the title of Miss Oklahoma Teen United States. And it was a lot of hard work, but it taught me so much with all of that. And with that, I also started getting into modeling, which, to be honest, I wasn't all that great at modeling because I like to talk a lot and I don't hold still very well. So I also, ended up meeting someone who named Kane Gillespie, who ended up going on Project Runway, and I was one of his models and did all of that. And then eventually I was offered to join a modeling agency in New York when I was 18. And I just wasn't quite ready to go live in New York yet after growing up in Oklahoma. So put a pause on all of that, went to hair school, got my barber's license. I was a hair color specialist, did hair extensions, all of that. And then I just eventually was like, I have to give this, when I was about 21, give this a shot. And so my mom and I went out to LA and I auditioned for a scholarship, a partial scholarship to the New York Film Academy. And that's in Los Angeles. And I got that. And that's when I moved out to LA, was shortly after I turned 21. And yeah, did that whole thing. So yeah, I'm a little bit of a Jane of all trades, of a few trades, I'll say.
Oh, for sure. You're a Swiss knife. Absolutely. You've got all these talents.
Why not see what you can do? You never know until you try something, is kind of the way I tend to philosophize things. Because it's like that's the way everyone had. Michael Jordan didn't know he was good at basketball until he tried it. So, and it took effort. Anyone can do anything for the most part with some hard work, if you just try it. So
I think it's really interesting that you have such a, even though it's such a like wide, diverse background, there's still connecting points between each of the things and endeavors that you journeyed on, right? So I would imagine, like, when you were doing pageants, for instance, did you take the structure and scheduling and promptness away from that experience more than anything else, like in terms of how it's set up, right, as a industry, and you show up, but there is this, like, there is hard work involved. Like when people say, oh, beauty pageants, it's all just pretty girls standing up on stage smiling for like an hour, that's not really accurate. Like where do you feel or what did you pull from that experience specifically?
Sure. So a lot of what I pulled from that is even just being able to answer the icebreaker questions without, melting into a puddle like a lot of people do. Because that was a huge part of that, is being able to answer an onstage question. And quite literally, when you make top 5, you a lot of times are pulling a piece of paper out of a bowl that is called the icebreaker question. It did, excuse me, definitely instill, being on time, being prepared, how to hold yourself in a room. It really public speaking. There was one that I won an essay contest where you had to write an essay and then you had to say, have it memorized, then go on the stage in your gown and speak that. And, there's a lot to the pageant world. There are two different types of systems without delving down the whole of that in its entirety. Is there's the America system style pageants, and then there's the USA Universe style pageants. And I used to joke that, well, America, that's the one that you have a talent. And I would joke that all of us who compete in USA, we don't have talent. So that really, it's more about the first two things you're judged on with USA is the very first thing you're judged on is swimsuit and then evening gown. And then the next day you go and do interview. And it tells you one year I won the interview portion and I didn't even make top 5 that year. So they really cared more about how you presented yourself on stage, what you looked like. And so that also lanes toward how I work on my body, keep myself healthy and fit so that I'm not at a point where I'm having to kill myself to quote unquote get ready. I try and stay ready as best I can. And it really taught me what I'm able to do with my body when I focus on eating healthy and, really stay consistent because, hey, you want to put that swimsuit on in front of all those people. It's nice to, feel that confidence.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I assume that the experience that you gained from the pageant world really helped you as you moved into the, the television world, film and television industry as well. How would you say that? I mean, did you find that your experience in the pageant world opened doors easier for you, or did you find that maybe there were correlations between the two of them that you could use to sort of like propel yourself forward in your career?
Sure. So what I would say is it did not open doors by way of connections. What it did open doors for me is knowing how to, this is going to sound so odd, but knowing how to engage someone important from a distance. Whenever it was time on stage, you wanted to look each and every one of those judges in the eye, and you wanted to engage with the audience as you are standing there for your final standby in your gown, for example. That's the time that you take that time. And so I have had moments where I've been able to kind of lock in on someone with, now maybe they thought it was creepy. I shouldn't say without being creepy. Who knows what they were thinking? But I got their attention and I would be picked for something in particular. Like because listen, y'all, I did do all that background work. I worked as an extra, honey, like did all of it. And there were times that it would be, hey, we're going to elevate someone up to feature. We're going to bring, someone from this group to do this and that. And so if I wanted to do it, I would hone in on whoever the person was. And I know that sounds weird, but that's something that I learned, to just kind of make my presence known and get laser focused on someone. That does sound so strange, but that's the most honest answer I can give about that.
It makes sense though. It makes sense.
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
Go on, Georgia.
No, I wanted to touch on since we're talking about TV, you dove into improv a lot as a way of, I guess it's really good training for anyone that's in the entertainment space, I've heard. But for you, what was that experience like? Because I've heard different reactions from different people on improv in the classes and all that stuff.
Yes, terrifying is what I would call it. When I had the class at NYFA, the New York Film Academy, I was not good. I was in my own way. I wouldn't let go of. I just couldn't make a fool of myself. That's part of where I had that block in myself. And then my friend Tessa Scott, she's a really fantastic writer. She's in the WGA, support the writers strike, and now the actors strike too. On top of that, but she started a comedy troupe, and she asked me to join it. And it was a weekly, it was sketches, but sometimes you would need to improv there. And we would literally be doing new sketches every single week, performing at the iOS there in Hollywood. And then we performed at Second City and the Acme and did all of that. And at a certain point, I went, okay, you know what? I'm going to try improv. And I went to the UCB, the Upright Citizens Brigade over there in Hollywood. And oh my gosh, you want to be humbled down to the ground. Go take an improv class. It's like the second you're like, I got this. I'm funny. I'm funny, right? Right, guys? I'm funny. And then you go up and the teacher just looks at you and they're like, you didn't yes and like, oh shit, sorry.
Oh boy.
Same thing. I took stand up, did stand up, and listen, it is a humbling experience, but it's something that I think people could use no matter what they do. That it's conversational, being able to yes and people. And the thing with yes and is the point is to not negate what someone said right before you answer. So it's a way to keep the conversations flowing. So I really think that it's something that everyone can benefit from, but and it may be, like you were saying, a different experience for everyone. I was, like I said, humbled through the first layer of earth with it. And maybe you get what you're supposed to get out of it, I think. How about that?
But how did you, because you also acted at the very popular CBS show called Vegas, and you were in that. So, there's so much. So there's stand-up, there's pageants, there is improv, there is just so much. And fast forward to today, and you're a content creator. So how did this whole transition happen? How did all your background and your past experience is helping you now? What were some of the challenges? Give us a little bit of an insight into your podcasting world.
Sure. So when it comes to where I'm at now, I had to leave Los Angeles during the pandemic because my partner and I were just like, we can't survive anymore. And we came out here to Colorado where my parents are. And that was one of the hardest decisions. It felt like we both, because he was, an actor as well. And it felt like we both were completely giving up on our dream. We had already sacrificed so much of our time, of our money, of our life to do this. And it felt like the pandemic just put that final nail in the coffin. And came out here, again, like I said, to Colorado. And we both just kind of went, yeah, we're just going to have to stay. So we packed everything up and stayed. And I ended up getting pregnant with my son. And I was working at Rent the Runway, waiting for a particular position that I was supposed to get. It was about a year I was waiting for this position, that I was sitting working in customer service. Y'all, when I tell you, after doing everything I'd been hustling to do, to be sitting on a call center pregnant and listening to someone yell at me because their dresses didn't get to them in time for their vacation to, Puerto Rico, I'm like, this is not what my life is supposed to be. This is not it. I didn't do all of these things in my life to sit here and do this. It's not that I'm more special than anyone, but I have just been fighting for something different. And like I said, it was the idea of maybe I should try and do the podcast. It had been floating around, but here in Colorado, I'm signed with Wilhelmina, Denver, but there's not a ton. I'm in SAG, and there's not a ton of projects that are SAG out here. And having a child, what am I going to do? Fly out to California every single time there's a callback? Can't do that. So I kind of went, let's just try and take this into our own hands. And it has been, gosh, there are days when I'm like, what am I doing? I need to just stop. I'm giving up. I am so sick of doing this. People don't like my content. People are just coming in the comments only to say something rude. And that's, listen, that's nothing new. I'm not reinventing the wheel by telling people that people can be very rude. But then there are days, where I'm like, wow, this is fun. I'm enjoying it. And, there are aspects of doing this where when I kind of got everything going in the direction of talking about reality TV and housewives, because listen, I was already watching all of it and I loved talking about it. So I thought, why not do what everyone says you should never do, is turn your hobby into a career. But, because then are going to stop enjoying it. I still enjoy it. I have a different feelings, I should say, about all of it now. But there are some days where I'm ready, like that fight song, to tie it back to that, where some days I'm like, okay, I'm in the fight for it. Here we go. And then there are some days where I'm like, I am so done. Especially, when there's other content creators who are causing drama. That's the aspect that I never, ever, ever imagined. Didn't even cross my mind. Truly, never did. Some of that has been surprising and frustrating. And then there are the aspects that I have met some of the most wonderful people, and I have not felt like I had so many friends in so many places like this before. And it sounds cliche, but I mean, I truly feel like I have friends all over the world, all over the country that, I mean, like Giorgio, I could call him in a minute and he'd be like, what's wrong? What's going on? And, we've sat there and therapized for each other so many times, and it's wonderful, the people I've met. I think that's been honestly one of my favorite parts of it. Um, I know sometimes I annoy my people who will listen to my podcast, but I think I kind of have to do it for me, that I get my acting bug out by doing impressions and acting out the women, how they will talk to each other, because that's how it goes in my brain, is I hear their voices and then I have to let it out that way. So that part I kind of am just doing for me, which I have to remind myself that sometimes that it's my way of getting to, I hate the word perform because it's so, getting to just get that itch out of just acting like another person for a minute. Because that's the bug of it.
And I guess it's so different to you because a podcast, you have 100% control of it, because you're not working for a network. You're not working for a big corporation. You've got the freedom. You choose what you want to put out there. And the good and the bad, there's always good and bad, right? Because when we have to do with human beings and egos and beliefs and value systems that are so different, of course you're going to find that. Of course you're going to have, the trolls, the haters, all of that. We've all been through it. It's part of it. But I would assume, like, because we're all creatives. Anyone who's a content creator is a creative. We have that running in our blood. So to me, a podcast or having a YouTube channel, it's not just freedom, like your own freedom when it comes to choices and not having sort of like, a white collar guy telling you what to do, but it's also freedom of creativity, being able to be yourself and express yourself. So my question to you is, for those content creators who are about to start, they're about to start their own YouTube channel or podcast or whatever it is, what advice would you give them? What would be the advice looking back now?
Yeah. So number one, it's just to go ahead and start and don't worry about being perfect, because your content and the way everything looks and sounds and feels is going to end up progressing over time. That's the number one thing. It's not going to look like your favorite content creator's content the very first few months you're doing it. I mean, looking back on how things with my podcast used to sound and look and feel, and the way it is now, and the way my YouTube looks now, the way everything is, it's constantly evolving. And so that's kind of like what I was saying before. You never know until you go ahead and just give something a shot. And really, I mean, I'll just even give some of the very specific aspects that I find that works for me. For example, TikTok is one that I had to start from the ground up. And when I say from the ground up, I mean, as in when I started the podcast. I already had my Instagram account. I changed the name of my Instagram account, lost some followers, then started finally gaining again. But when it comes to starting an account from nothing, engaging with other content creators, not just the big content creators, because your comments and your engagement gets lost in the sauce there. Okay. You need to engage with content creators that have maybe 1,000 more followers than you and up. Engage with people that are also at your level, and then just continuously engage with other people. I say leave 10 comments, 10 likes, engage with so many people, because that is how I have found so many people, like smaller content creators. And I'll tell you something. There's a guy named Jared that he has the Bravo Tea with Jared B podcast. He reached out to me in an email, and I loved that he did this. And so maybe, it depends on the person, but he just said, listen, I've listened to your podcast. I like your content. If you have any time, would you mind listening to mine for a few minutes? I would love any advice you have for me. And so I thought, God, that is so cool that this person would like, people are flattered when you ask them for advice to begin with. And so you can ask people, it's the way you go about it. And so I wrote him back. I watched his content and I said, man, dude, you've got everything it takes. I think you just need some exposure, and I'll have you on my podcast, things like that. And it just so happened that some things worked out that he got some exposure because he told me a specific person had commented on his content. So I said, well, I can post about that if you want. I can't guarantee anything. And it ended up blowing up. And Page Six is writing about his podcast. And, it's an ET, Entertainment Tonight. And it was basically just him. It all started, and it's not because of me. It's because he reached out and had just said, hey, I like your stuff. Could you give me advice? And people love being asked for advice. I can't remember. It was a president said this, and I don't want to say it wasn't Thomas Jefferson. Oh my God. Sorry, friends. We all know that's what I'm going to have to Google late at night now. That the quickest way to become friends with someone is to ask a favor of them. And that goes along with asking advice. People love feeling important enough for that. So that's something, just ask someone, and engage. That makes a huge difference.
Gosh, are you writing this down, Natalie? Are you writing this down? We have a lot of work.
I'm writing it
darling.
down. There's a lot, but I'm also pulling cards for Caitlin.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, as Natalie's getting your card warmed up, I want to just start to close the interview with just a couple more questions around, now that we're speaking presently about where you are with content creation and podcasting. You mentioned earlier that there are times where there's days where you post and there's nothing but negative comments. Like people are literally dropping what they're doing just to leave a negative comment. We've all had those days. And they coincidentally always seem to happen on the days that you feel like you've already had enough with everything. And if your shirt gets caught on the drawer one more time when you walk by it, it's a wrap for this house and everything in it. But of the negative comments, what do you do when the negative comments are just, or let me rephrase it, what do you do when the comments become personal?
Sometimes I kind of have to, I try and, number one, kind of view them as either, this is a drunk old Karen sitting behind their phone, unable to type properly. I know that is that is probably problematic to say, but that's the first thing I kind of think of. I also, you know what I'm talking about. We all know exactly. And then, it depends on what's being repeatedly said. If there is something that I can take from it, I'm going to. I had someone say that, like one I did recently was too slow. They had to listen to it at 1.5 speed. Okay, well, maybe I can just make sure my energy is up the next time. And that's, was it constructive feedback? No. And then I try and just focus then on the days that I get overwhelmed by it, I start only replying to the positive ones. Because, I'm like, let me bring in the positivity. If you want to be negative, fine. Give me the engagement, give me the views, give me whatever, not to sound all Bethany Frankel, but sometimes it is like, okay, I'll go ahead and take what I can get, and I'm just going to focus on the positive out of it. And that's it. Because,
But let me ask you this, you guys, all of you, why is it that whenever we get that one negative comment, for instance, like, your energy was low today and it was hard listening to it, that we feel inclined that we need to change the way that we are, we need to tweak the format of our content for that, like one or two negative comments? Because obviously there are two people who are vocal and they have nothing better to do, and they just decided to be on YouTube, Instagram on that day and just bash content creators. But it doesn't mean that the thousands or hundreds, thousands, or whatever other people that listen to you feel the same way. I'm just saying that this is human nature, that we instantly, as soon as someone hits a nerve, or a nerve that we didn't even know that we had, we instantly go into like defense mode. Like, ooh, I've got to do this because otherwise my podcast is going to fail, my YouTube is going to fail. But in my opinion, this is wrong, because obviously your podcast, your YouTube, your Instagram is working because it is reaching out to people. People are listening, they are watching. Just because you have one or two like Karens, so what? So effing what? Just saying.
No, totally. I think that's fair.
I mean, to be like, from my angle, just as of yesterday, I mean, listen, if your sense of humor is like very conservative, then yeah, I understand why yesterday my post rubbed quite a few people the wrong way. Quite a few. And I'm still getting emails, I got 6 emails overnight from women that I'm not even joking. They start off nice. I've been listening to you for this amount of time. Then they go into, I love your recaps. And then the last paragraph is all, how could you do this to Shannon? Her family's going through a lot right now. And you doing that post was really just not funny. And it's just, she's dealing with enough. And you need to learn to give people grace. And you're not perfect. And, this, that, and the other. And then, in the beginning, when it first went up, I took it down on Instagram, but left it up on TikTok. Because here's the interesting thing. No one on TikTok was pissed off. Everyone on Instagram was. So that tells you something as well. And I don't know, Caitlin, maybe we'll close on that. Would you agree that your audiences on the different platforms vary in terms of what they receive and how they receive it, like based on like how I just said what happened to me yesterday? Completely different reaction, which is also very intriguing.
It is very different. I fully agree with that. It's, I have to post completely different content for the most part, on both platforms. If I post something about, I don't know, like I went on a rant about Bethany Frankel's podcast. If I had posted that onto Instagram, there would have been the people in the comments going, who cares? Why do you care? And then it's like, well, why do you care to type that?
I know.
I mean, it's the thing. The thing is, I very specifically had a friend who happened to start. I feel like the word bully is thrown around too much. I don't want to use the word bully, but just being not attacked either. Just at. Okay, how about that for a word? Way to work the thesaurus, Caitlin. Add it to the dictionary. Merriam-Webster's dictionary there. But and this is someone who had really been nasty to me as well. And so he posted a response video, and the way people are responding specifically to that on TikTok, it's been something that's just like been in the last day or two. And it's been kind of frustrating how people behave so differently. Like I don't really see people feuding on Instagram the way I will see people feuding on TikTok. And I think that's because it's newer to Instagram to be able to like quote unquote stitch a video with someone and things like that. TikTok, it's been in there for so long. It's integrated and people who know how to use TikTok already are doing that. And so it's just a different way of doing things. And I feel like the people on TikTok who follow whoever it is they're following, they are very loyal to the person that they are following. And they tend to be on their side more. And the people on Instagram, I don't know. They just are, it's the Wild West there sometimes. So I think that makes a huge difference just in the way that you're able to post content and interact with other content creators in that sense of, using their content and putting it together with your own. It makes a huge difference in how people take it in. And the fact that you can do longer form videos, you can explain yourself longer on TikTok than you can on Instagram as well. I think that also makes a huge difference. That extra 30 seconds of going to 2 minutes on TikTok versus, the 90 seconds on Instagram Reels, it does make a difference. I swear. So
I do
think you
believe
get your
it's
point out.
yeah. I do believe it's a generational thing because different generations use different
100%.
platforms and do different social media. And I really do believe that's why we're seeing a major difference between, let's say, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Very different worlds.
Very.
So now you know where the Karens go.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Just
They've moved from Facebook to Instagram now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh,
YouTube.
yeah.
And they
And
love
YouTube.
a flower
Oh, yeah.
profile picture, honey. They love
Yes,
a flower.
they
I don't know
do.
what it is. It's yesterday it was all the messages that were hating me about the Shannon post was all flower profile, different colors, pink, yellow, purple, lavender, like everything. And I was just like, wow, is there like a group out there that tells you how to do this? Where like
It's the
Wait,
Facebook frames.
It is the
create
Facebook
flowers.
Mhm.
And make that your profile picture.
The
And in
worst
your
part-
bio just say God first, and that's it. While you go bash every creator that's known to man. It just doesn't make sense.
Saved by grace, my grandbabies are my angels.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Psalm
Right.
2:16. Like,
And some
stop
of them
it.
even have the grandchildren as profile pics, and they
Yes.
go underneath and they comment the crap that they type
With the kids.
And-
Yes.
with the
Of
kids.
The kids are representing the actual that's the wild part, right? They'll be like,
So
you are a
true.
piece of garbage creator. And then you look at the profile picture, it's 2 little blonde babies and a golden retriever. And you're like, what is happening here?
How do you even know how to type?
Like, exactly.
I'm talking to the golden retriever, not the kids.
Could you imagine? But it's like, it's crazy. Well, Caitlin, this has been very, very insightful, I have to say. But before we let you go,
But
Nathalie
yes.
has been stewing on
goodness.
some cards over there, and I think she needs to give you some info.
Oh, please.
Are you ready, girl? Are you ready? Okay, because I've got good news. I've got a couple of things I want to tell you. Okay, so one thing that came through really quickly, it's not related to your content creation or your career or your job. It relates to your mom. And it's just something that Spirit just wanted to share with me, and I'm sharing it with you. It's that your mom, is she looking for a golden ring? Is there something about her wedding ring or a ring? Because they were showing me a ring, and it seems to me that your mom is going to, I feel like she lost it in the past, or she misplaced it. And she was a little bit frantic about it because it's a family heirloom, and it has sentimental value. So they're showing me that she's going to find it, right? Just saying. So maybe you want to pass that on to your mom.
I was thinking about a ring that I lost actually yesterday. That is a family heirloom. I was
it given
thinking
to you by your mom?
yes.
So it's your ring then. It's your ring. That's what.
I literally had the thought pass through my head yesterday. It was a ring that belonged to my grandmother, and then my mom had my great grandmother's engagement ring diamonds put in it. And I randomly started having an allergic reaction to the ring. I used to wear it all the time. And then I randomly thought about it yesterday that I don't know where it went. So that is, oh my gosh.
Voila.
The amount of time that I have been knowing Nathalie, I still get mind blown when things like
That's
that
wild.
happen.
Yeah,
Like,
that's so wild.
I love that. I
it's
love getting those like
crazy.
So crazy.
okay, and now let's get to what I'm seeing that's going to unfold in the next 6 to 8 months. So I see a collab, okay, a new collaboration. I see it's going to be 3 of you. So it's going to be you and 2 other people. Oh,
Okay.
maybe it's us. Who knows? But it's
Yeah.
not us. And I'll tell you why. Okay. And I'll tell you why. So the reason why is because, I mean, first of all, it's going to be a male and a female, the ones that you're going to be collaborating. Finally, it could be us, Georgia, because it's swords and swords, it's air signs. So, and we're both we're both Aquarius. But here's what I want to say about that. I feel that that's why I know it's not us. It's because I feel there's going to be some kind of disappointment regarding that collaboration. I feel everything's going to start off really great. There's going to be a lot of potential and you're going to be excited about this. But I feel, especially coming from the male, that there might be some kind of disappointment regarding an agreement that you've made. I feel like it's going to be a little bit chaotic, not following through with certain things, making it, I feel it's going to be hard for you guys to coordinate, to record, stuff like that. So I feel that's going to be a bump along the way.
Okay.
But something else. Oh my God, this is going to be a mini reading, but this is what.
Oh my God.
I'm just everything that's coming through. All right. Regarding you and your partner, I know you have a little baby, like, you know, a toddler, and it's tough. Okay. It's tough on the relationship. It's tough on the couple because the focus and the energy goes to the child. But I do feel you guys are going to work through some little bumps that you've been going through right now. Okay. I feel that your partner's going to be more open and more communicative and more expressive, let's say, which I feel this is sort of like the block and the issue that you have now, that you feel that he's not connecting to you on a higher level and an emotional level. But I see things getting much better and improving between you guys. And I also see you going out on a date night or something like that. And here you are I feel that you're quite empathic. So you're an empath. You do have Scorpio moon. So that really makes sense. And just use your intuition more. This is what spirit is asking from you.
I get told that all the time. I get told that.
And we don't listen.
Well,
I'm like, how? I'm trying. It's like,
no, just go for it. Instead of trying to rationalize and second guessing those thoughts, go with that feeling that you have, go with that feeling. What do you feel? That first, just a piece of advice for everyone listening. What is intuition? Because people say, I don't know what's intuition. Like, is it a thought? Is it a voice? What is it? It's that first instant thought that pops into your mind, into your head. That's intuition. Before you start analyzing, before you start processing, before ego jumps in, experience, external influences come in, it's that instant first feeling. So follow that and it will help you a lot. And I also see another, in the future, I also see another, I see you filming again. I see you being in the show, acting again. And it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be on a streaming platform. This is what I'm getting.
It's so interesting. You are not the first person to say that to me. So there's someone that I've been intending to actually book a reading with you. So this is quite a treat and a blessing. So thank you. I really appreciate that. I actually had someone that I saw here in Colorado the very first time I ever saw anyone that, was able to, she didn't do tarot, but she spoke with spirit. And she told me that I'm supposed to be in Los Angeles for this. So I don't know how that works out, but she said it was going to be like streaming type of thing that I am eventually going to be doing. And, she said like HBO streaming or something like that.
Yep.
So I'm like, okay, now the strike.
2 out of 2. So you know what's coming. 2 out of 2.
Okay. Gotta get ready. Gotta get ready. This is
But
so
of course,
exciting.
if you want, we can look deeper into it. We can talk later and book like a proper reading. But
Oh,
this
I
is
will be.
bro, just saying.
This was so interesting. And y'all, first of all, go book with her because that is so wild. Just starting off about the ring. Oh my God. Like do y'all know I didn't even say anything about it out loud? Um
You
I
know,
literally had the thought.
I was waiting where that was going to go because I could tell the look on your face. It had registered, but I wasn't
Uh-huh.
sure. And then the way it just tied all together like that I'm still mind blown. I'll be mind
And
blown the rest of the afternoon,
I kept
actually.
seeing the ring for the last 10 minutes. Spirit was showing me the ring, and they were like, tell her about the ring. They were like badgering me. I had to mute myself because it was like, thunder. But there you
Oh
go.
my gosh. I would love to chat with you sometime about that. That is so fascinating
Anytime.
to me. That is so fascinating. Okay, now does spirit like come to you at times where you're like, oh my God, not right now? Like even like how you were saying you had to mute. Are there times where I don't know, you're at the gynecologist or something and spirit is like, tell the doctor. That's like the things I imagine. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Oh my God, that's funny.
it's funny because now, with experience, I've learned how to switch it on and off because it can be overwhelming, right? But before, like years ago, I could not control it. And I would be like Teresa Caputo walking down the street and go, excuse me, don't be scared, but you've got someone standing behind you and they want you to know. And people would be like, where, what, who is this woman? Stop doing that. I stopped doing that. My husband hates it. He's like, you're an embarrassment to the family. Not everyone wants to know what spirit is saying.
That's hysterical.
I stopped doing
That's
it.
hilarious.
Like I don't know why. Like I feel I'm sure there's been a show about it, but I just feel like imagining like the pilot of a show where you're like at the dentist or something and the dental hygienist is, chit-chatting to you and your mouth is full and like spirit is like, she needs to know about this and that. And you're like, like, I don't know. Somehow it has played out in my head. And I know that's so bizarre, but
well, I did like the worst thing I've ever done was a colleague. I used to work in marketing for tech companies. Anyways, we had a brand new colleague and she was hired in my department. So she was going to be part of my team. And the first thing I said to her, like this was going to be like the first meeting, like getting to know her. And the first thing I said is like, don't worry about your infertility issues. You'll get pregnant naturally. I don't think that was a great icebreaker. I don't think that was a good thing to do. Right off the bat, like, hi, I'm Nathalie. Let me tell you about this. I needed to just like
keep banging your husband, keep banging your partner. It'll be fine. Don't get back on the birth control. Don't use the condoms.
And she did get pregnant 4 months later.
See? Oh my gosh.
And she did name the baby Nathalie.
As she should.
As she should.
Absolutely.
Hello.
Oh my God. That's so cool. See, I find that so fascinating. You could do
the
just a whole show on
stories.
that.
I mean,
yeah,
it's
exactly.
crazy. I bet it's crazy. Oh, Caitlin, this has been such a blast. I can't tell you. Thank you so much again
Thank
for
you.
stopping by.
Thank you. I'm so
Yes.
honored and I can't wait to see how this podcast grows with you guys. And I just love this. Thank you so much for having me. I truly am.
Of course, you'll have to come back again and update us on what's happening. And you're always welcome here. But we will go ahead and close you out. So thanks again to Caitlin for joining us today.
Thank you, Caitlin.
Bye, Caitlin.
Bye.
All right, guys, and that's it for this episode. Thanks for listening. And if you are listening to us, make sure you leave us a 5-star review on the respective platform that you're listening to us on. And if you're watching us on Spotify, thank you. Make sure you let us know down below what you thought of this episode. Nathalie, where can everyone find us?
Yes, you can find us on YouTube, on TikTok, and on Instagram. Giorgio goes under Giorgio Says on all these platforms, and I go under Femme Tarot. So please make sure that you follow us over there as well, because there's a lot of content that we roll out every week.
And if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure you get subscribed and hit that notification bell so you don't miss when we upload our new episode, which will be once a week.
And if you want to email us with your questions, what kind of questions do you want us to ask future guests that are going to be coming on this podcast? And you make sure that you follow us, because we have a long list of incredible content creators that will be joining this podcast in the very, very near future. So please email us at creatingthecreatorpod@gmail.com.
Perfect. And until the next episode, you guys, Natalie and myself will talk to you on the next episode. Bye.
Till next time. Bye.